So in honor of 500 subscribers, I decided I'm going to be doing an oversimplified tier list. But before I get into it, I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel. You give me so much motivation to keep making these videos, and I love that I can be part of 500 of your lives. And you have no idea how much that means to me. But as always, just thank you for everything, and this has just meant a lot. And hopefully, I can give back by sharing some unpopular or perhaps popular opinions on Oversimplified's videos. So I'm going to start from the bottom here, and I'm going to be putting the pig war. And a lot of you kind of know this already if you see my previous videos, but I'm not a fan of the pig war video. I think the pig war on the scale of oversimplified, which is a very, very high bar to jump over, is a D. So the reason why it's a D, in my opinion, is because I feel like during the pig war video, he prioritizes comedy too much for something that previously in the Falkland Wars or the football war, he would have basically done a 5 to 10 minute video on, but instead it lasted 40 minutes. I pointed out in my video how the pig war video actually has more of a length than World War II, World War One, and I think it was the Cold War. So that is insane that he was able to stretch out this like very insignificant historical event into a basically a 50-minute long video, and a large part of that is because he prioritizes comedy too much. So it may be unpopular opinion, but definitely pig war on the D list. However, Napoleonic Wars, not that. It's on the S tier. This is, in my opinion, part of Oversimplified's top 3 videos. I learned so much about Napoleon through this video, and I have to say that this is probably some of his finest work. I absolutely love this, and this kind of contributes to why I was so disappointed with the pigboard video. It's just because you can't go from the Napoleonic Wars to the pig war, and I don't know. It's just the Napoleonic Wars was just excellent video. Obviously, you had the two-parters. It was about an hour worth of content about Napoleon, and I did so much external research about the Napoleonic Wars after his video, which is a great sign. So from here, I'm going to go to Prohibition, which I'm going to give a B tier. I did find it very interesting in the Prohibition video how he basically gave the gradual take towards Prohibition, where he didn't just start in the 1920s, but he actually showed how over the course of the 1800s, the Prohibition movement kind of started just basically by women who gradually wanted the Prohibition to occur because of their husbands. But I did like that a lot, but in my opinion, it's more of just an average oversimplified video, even though I did enjoy it, which, if I'm going to be honest here, that's going to be the bulk of the videos here. So now I'm going to move on to World War II, and unfortunately, I'm going to give this a C list. I am of the opinion that Oversimplified should redo the World War II and World War I videos to basically put some more details in them. If you really look at his Napoleonic War series, some of his other series, he put a lot more detail in it. And I understand that this was earlier in Oversimplified's career, but I think that it would be really cool if we had like a 5-part oversimplified video on World War II, and we go over a lot of the deeper aspects of the war. I think that would be excellent, almost like a Ken Burns oversimplified video, which sounds crazy out loud, but just think about how awesome that would be. And if he wanted to create like a Kickstarter towards getting a film and the animation cost, like that would be awesome. And I frankly really hope that one day he redoes the World War II and World War I videos. And as you can probably guess, World War I is going to be also in the C tier. Keep in mind, this is on the oversimplified tier, not the overall tier, but World War I is his first video, and because of his first video, he's going to have some growing pains to it. So I personally think that this is a fair place to put it. It's an average scale, so I think this is an average oversimplified video, but at the same time, I know that this video is very near and dear to a lot of your hearts, so sorry for putting World War I and World War II on the C tier. But this is also going to be an unpopular opinion. The War of the Bucket. I think that this video is by far his funniest. And what makes it even better is instead of just talking about the war, he basically goes back and describes some of the deeper historical roots to it, which involve the church and involves different sections of the church. And I really appreciate that because I think this is a very undiscussed topic of history, but at the same time, it intertwined, in my opinion, the best of Oversimplified's comedy. And like seeing those people dancing around the bucket and having the bishop come to the city and they're just like, oh my God, look at this bucket. It's the best thing ever. I think that's just pure comedic gold and I love this video. Even though in my what's the worst oversimplified video, I got this one a couple times in there. So this brings me to my least favorite oversimplified video, which is the Three Kingdoms. And I actually did basically a whole video on this, but in my opinion, the Three Kingdoms is his worst video. I personally believe that he made this to sell a video game, and the fact that his sponsor of the video was a video game called Three Kingdoms basically confirms that theory. This is just a very convoluted mess, basically, and even though it's a good video, I was still entertained by it. You have to keep in mind that this is on the oversimplified scale, so we are expecting a higher quality. So because that higher quality was not met, unfortunately, I have to put this in the F tier just because of how convoluted it was. The line that this makes Game of Thrones look like a Dr. Seuss novel basically explains everything, that he's either going to have to spend more time on this video or frankly he shouldn't touch a topic of this historical magnitude. He tried to cram in about 100 plus years of history in like 12 minutes. It's not going to work. And the product shows. This is another unpopular opinion, but the Russian Revolution, that is going on the A tier. I personally believe that I'm a little bit biased towards this because I find Rasputin to be one of the most interesting historical figures of all time. But at the same time, I did not know most of what happened during the Russian Revolution. So I was so into this after I initially saw this videos, I think it was like 2 years ago, that I literally started reading like multiple books on the Russian Revolution. I loved the Russian Revolution after, and it was all because of Oversimplified's video. So thank you, Oversimplified, for that. But Rasputin, Tsar Nicholas, I find them to be very, very fascinating, especially because the Tsar's heirs, even though they're not direct heirs, they still live today. And there's, with everything going on in Russia, one might think that possibly they could be the successors if Russia's government were to change. And it's very fascinating that it's going to come from this video, or from this historical account. Oversimplified Hitler, I probably shouldn't have said this, I'm not going to get any views on this anymore, is going on the B tier. Oversimplified's Hitler is actually banned in a couple countries, which I think is hilarious. So you have to use a VPN to watch it at all. But yeah, this is a interesting account, especially because this is, I believe, his first dip into World War II, and he did the Hitler video before the World War II video, so that I did enjoy that a lot, and I did enjoy hearing about Hitler's life. Unlike World War II, I do believe talking about Hitler's youth and his rise to power is something that you can cover in a smaller amount of time, and I think the allocated amount of time was perfect for this topic. The Battle of Hastings, probably one of the most important videos, important instances in world history, but unfortunately it goes on the D tier. I had to rewatch this video just to make sure that I wanted to put it here, but at the end of the day, I think this is where it belongs. It might just be I'm not very interested in the topic, but the Battle of Hastings just seemed a little I don't know. I didn't like it very much. It's hard to explain. Maybe it's just a lack of comedy, or maybe the historical topic wasn't for me, but that's just that. So this is, in my opinion, Oversimplified's best one-parter videos. Henry, his video on King Henry, because I loved the stuff about his wives. I found it hilarious, the stuff about his wives. And Henry VIII is one of the craziest historical figures of all time, just because he actually had some pretty interesting feats, but nobody cares. nobody cares about what he accomplished or what he did under his reign just because of the wives thing. So that is something that I really found interesting, and I loved his video on this. It was also very well done, very comedic, and this is when what I like to call the golden years of Oversimplified. So that there you have it right there. Pretty even list so far. Yeah, I this wasn't even intentional. It's actually the first time going through it, but yeah, there we go. French Revolution. That's in the A tier. The French Revolution is a very interesting historical topic, especially because most of the French Revolution came from the American Revolution, and that in it itself is interesting because ironically the French crown gave us aid, which inevitably led to the French Revolution. And historical figures in the United States, such as Thomas Jefferson, he had a huge impact on the French Revolution. So I found this to be a very interesting video, especially because I didn't know about the cult of reason, which is when Christians were actually being persecuted in France, and it was actually the hip thing to be an atheist and how they changed the calendar and everything. I found this to be an awesome video, and I don't know, it's just an A tier video for me. The football war. Football war is going to go in the D tier. I liked that it was only 5 minutes, and that is great considering that he doesn't really need more than 5 minutes for this video. Unlike the pig war video, he kind of knew what the football war was. It was a small historical occurrence between two countries, and I love that it was about soccer. I am getting very into soccer. I have a second channel that's basically dedicated to me going to sporting events. If y'all want to hear about that, I'll let you know. But yeah, the football wars I wasn't a big fan of, honestly. But yeah, it's just a 5 minute video. Small wars videos are probably his worst. Falklands, same thing. It's just a small historical account. But I'm almost tempted now to put Oversimplified's Big War video as an F tier just because he knew what the football wars and Falklands wars were, and he basically put it there because of that. But no, I'm not going to change my rankings. These are the only correct Oversimplified rankings in the world. That's obviously a joke. The Emu War. Emu War is funny, so I'm going to give it a B. So I'm not really attached to this war, but I think like every YouTuber ever has done a video on the Emu War, and I think it's hilarious that Australia actually kind of lost this war and against these giant birds. But what I also loved at the start, and you will blink if you'll blink and you'll miss this, but Oversimplified basically oversimplified the Great Depression, and he was just like, oh my god, everything's going up, but what if it doesn't? And that led to economic downturn, and I was just dying laughing when I heard that, because in a way that's basically how recessions happen. So the Emu War, special place in my heart. That's gonna be another unpopular opinion. I know that a lot of you didn't like this video, and to many of you this is the worst oversimplified video. The American Civil War. The American Civil War, that's going to be an A. I thought that this was a very informative, very in-depth video, and I believe that this is some of Oversimplified's best. And I might be wrong, but frankly, the American Civil War and the Napoleonic Wars are my two favorite Oversimplified videos, but yeah, that's basically all I have to say about that. It's a very in-depth. He uses the right amount of comedy, but he also explains something that is a very touchy subject to a lot of Americans, even 150 years after the fact. But yeah, it was a good video. Cold War, gonna give a B tier too. Maybe I'm a little salty that we still haven't gotten our Korean War, Vietnam War oversimplified videos, but I think a lot of what happened during the Cold War could be made into an oversimplified video to only build on it. So I did like how he basically explained how the Korean War and the Vietnam War were basically fought over the same reasons, but at the same time, I want to hear more almost. So it's obviously a very good video, and yeah, I think that he did very well in this, but I want to see that Vietnam War video. I want him to explain the Vietnam War to death. And if he puts half the detail that he put in the Pig War video about the Vietnam War, that would be an excellent, excellent video. And finally, we have the American Revolution, which I'm going to put in the A tier. I'm very biased towards this because I love American history, but at the same time, this is definitely an A tier video. This is really oversimplified, almost at his best, but it's an excellent video. It's hard for, frankly, you can make an argument for every video from C on to be in the S tier, which just shows the quality that Oversimplified has. But the American Revolution, I was debating putting in the S tier, but frankly, I think you can only put 3 videos in the S tier, and I had to put a one-parter in there just to show I'm not just crapping all over the one-parters. But yeah, these are my rankings, guys. I know you're going to disagree with them, but please put your Oversimplified rankings in the comments and let's have a healthy debate in there. But as always, thank you again for 500 subs. Like, I'm at a loss of words. To put this in perspective, that's like me talking to an auditorium filled with people every single time I post a video. And that's frankly an honor that I don't think I'd ever have. But yeah, thank you again. And just know that I love all of Oversimplified's videos, even the Three Kingdoms War. I always will rewatch these videos. And when you have greatness, some things are going to not be as great and you're going to be put on a higher pedestal. So just remember that when you watch this. But thanks, guys. Let's keep growing the channel. Next is going to be 1,000 subs. So hopefully we can get there sometime within the next year. But yeah, I thank you all again and have a great night. Bye.